respected judges, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, pardon me that I am already in the 95th year of my life. When the new Chief Justice of India was being sworn in and had just been sworn in, and the Bar Council of India was felicitating him on his rise to that office, I happened to be present in the meeting there, and I heard that speech. When I heard their speech, it occurred to me that I must make up my mind whether I continue to plead before the judges or go and apologize for my sins to the people of India. It was while I was felicitating the Chief Justice that I announced that I will no longer practice law, but I have some better things to do. What are the better things which I wanted to do? And I briefly wish to share my views and my decisions on that. First of all, I don't know who, but somebody has associated my name with a very, what shall I say, a very meaningful passage or a message that when the older you are, the younger should be your company. It has both a physiological and a sexual orientation, but I have not been bothered at all. I have kept the company of the young, and I must tell you that I have finished 75 years of legal practice, but I have finished 76 years of teaching law. The students are still my constituency. They love me and I love them. And my friends, I shall not give up that love till the last day of my life. And today I must share with you one great belief of mine. And that belief of mine is that judges of this country require to be respected like gods. Not that they are not human, not that they don't go wrong occasionally, but that is no reason for criticizing the institution of judges. And without judges, there shall be no constitution, there shall be no democracy. And my friends, in my long career at the practicing bar, I have met judges, come across judges with whom a normal person would even come to fight. But it is my record and I wish to share with you, and I wish you to imitate this record, that I have never, except once, insulted a judge in open court. I respect the judges. They are the saviors of our constitution and democracy, and we owe to them all the respect and attention that we can give to them. My friends, when the emergency was declared in India, I was the chairman of the Supreme Court Bar Association. There was a warrant out for my arrest for having made some speech somewhere down south in Kerala, in which I had attacked the emergency, and that speech made the dictator so nervous that a warrant for my arrest was issued. But all dictators are also idiots. I left Kerala, nobody touched me, and I reached Delhi, and on the next day I have gone to Madras to argue some case in the Madras High Court. On the next day my wife received the telephone call from the Commissioner of Police that, "Where is your husband? We have a warrant for his arrest." My wife told them that, "Listen, he has gone to Madras to argue a case and he is returning tomorrow. You can come and execute your warrant tomorrow." And my friends, when I returned the next day, I found that the Bar of India, which had its respect in the judiciary, before I reached Bombay, had gone to the High Court of Bombay bench and secured the stay of the warrant of my arrest. Imagine the judges doing it. And my friends, with that order of stay by the Bombay High Court in my pocket, I became more irresponsible and attacked the emergency and our politicians with greater vigor than I command even today. And my friends, ultimately the matter came before the Supreme Court, and that is the one instance where I was appearing before a bench of 5 judges. And when my turn came to speak, I told the bench that, "My lords, I am appearing for one détenu who has given me his brief. But I am not appearing only for him. I am appearing for thousands and thousands of innocent people who are rotting in Indian jails because we have a corrupt ruler today who seems to think that his powers will ultimately prevail over every decency of life." And then I turned to the 5 judges and I said, "My lords, I claim that I am appearing even for the 5 of you." So the Chief Justice almost fell out of his chair. And he said, "Mr. Jethmalani, did you say this?" I said, "Yes, my lord, I have never said this anything like this before. For the first time in my life I am telling you that I am right and you are wrong. But now please give me 5 minutes and keep quiet." I said, "Have you heard of a country called Ghana?" Ghana had a Chief Justice who had helped the government of Ghana to draft the preventive detention law. He had done nothing more than just helping the government to draft that law. When that law came into force, the Chief Justice was the first to be picked up under that law, and nobody heard of what happened to the Chief Justice for 2 years. And after that there was a cryptic announcement that the Chief Justice died of natural causes. I said, "Mr. Chief Justice, that is the fate which awaits you as well." So the remaining 4 judges kept quiet and he kept quiet too. I have finished my speech, my friends, and that is the only instance when I have had an occasion to insult a judge in open court. But my respect for judiciary is as great as it ever was, and I wish to plead with everybody that whatever faults you find with some of our judges, please forgive the judicial institution, preserve it for the sake of democracy and freedom and for the decencies of life. it is in that spirit that I am here today, and I must tell you that Karan is a friend of mine. I have not done anything for that wonderful thing that he has done. He has read through thousands of judgments of the Supreme Court of India and ultimately produced a book where by a click of the switch of the electricity you can know the history of a particular decision, whether it has been commented upon, whether some doubt has been created by it for its validity and so on and so forth. And he has shortened the work of every lawyer who wishes to know the law of the Supreme Court. And my friends, Karan deserves the greatest approbation, and it is my friendship with him that has kept Karan busy with this work, and I am very proud of the product of my affection and love for him, and that is why I am here, and I am very happy that he has reduced the labor of lawyers as well as judges from hours and hours of work to just a click of the phone, and you get everything about every judgment and the criticism of the judgment, whether it is right, wrong, or so on and so forth. My friend Karan deserves congratulations, and I am very, very happy that he is a friend of mine, and I am here to felicitate him on this occasion. And I hope you will share the respect that I have developed for him, and judges must be particularly grateful to this boy for having produced this great work which will lighten your task and lighten the task of many lawyers who will be appearing before you. And sir, I am very happy that I have been given this chance of making this last speech on the record today, that I am in the program, and the program comes to almost an end. But I hope Karan will get up and say a few words before we close this function. And after this, we retire to where we should, and each one will get the meal or the drink that he deserves.